So we wanted to actually start with kind of referencing the thing that a lot of people have been talking about, which is what happened with Malek Jandali's performance. And we know that it's been brought up in other panels, and that Khalid Matawa, the poet, read the lyrics last night, and so a lot of people are talking about it. But we also felt that that episode had very specific relevance to the idea of social networking, to the use of social networking, because we want to remind you that an online newspaper, Politico, is actually what kind of broke the story about what happened, and the different. Malek Jandali was using Twitter, for example, to tell his side of the story, but it circulated through email. We heard about it through email, Facebook, and Twitter before the event started. And ADC, I think it had to send out its press statement to try to respond to this. But this showed, I think, the power of social media to really get these kind of stories out there, to bring issues to the public's eye that might not have been brought before. And I think the challenge for us is to take this episode and build on it and think about what we want ADC to turn into. I think social media is related to this in that we can think about how social media works and apply some of the lessons to kind of ADC's development and ADC's future. And I want to give a big idea that drives home this point, and then we're going to share with you kind of 4 main ideas that have to do with social networking that will structure our discussion around those. So the kind of idea I wanted to throw at you, the first big idea I wanted to throw at you is that in social networking, how everybody's connected to everybody else through Facebook and Twitter and that kind of thing, there's this leveling effect in terms of how information flows. I can become a broadcaster, whereas in the old days, major organizations like ADC were sort of the broadcaster through mailings, through phone trees and that kind of thing, and the Washington Post was a gatekeeper of information. In the new media era, we're all kind of gatekeepers, and we're all circulating information and ideas. So this is a new media kind of logic, and this is what I think drove, in some ways, us finding out about Malek Jandali's story. The old media logic is about preventing certain ideas from getting out, and unfortunately, I think that ADC's response so far has reflected an old media way of thinking. So this is linked to the nature of information flows. ADC so far was built in an era of top-down institutions, whereas social media and the way of information communication technologies is all about networks. And I just wanted to present this idea that there's a major fundamental generational difference that's at play, and that's what's kind of coming out in the Malek Jandali thing. And it's our job, I think, to help ADC move into the right direction, which I think is the information way of the future. I know that all 3 of us received a lot of messages from people who were very concerned about what happened with Malek Jandali. And so I wanted to give the opportunity to the panelists before we really get started to sort of share their thoughts on it, and also as a way to communicate the message to those people who decided not to come today or pressured us to. So Dean, did you want to start out?
Sure. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me on this panel. I did receive a lot of emails, and this really is a social media issue, because it's from Twitter and Facebook that I learned about Malek Jandali. Then in the press, you get a lot of press coverage. I think it actually raised awareness of him, and on some level, I hope ADC disinvites me next year so I can get more press. It's part of my dream. But on a serious level, it really was distressing for people in our community, and I heard about it through the younger generation. It really was through Twitter and Facebook. It's the way people in the younger generation, and it's not just about age anymore, I should just say the techno generation, are communicating with each other. To me, from a personal point of view, I'm a comedian. Freedom of expression is paramount importance. It's something I defend absolutely. If there's a song about freedom that makes people uncomfortable, you don't disinvite the person who's singing about freedom, you disinvite those who are uncomfortable with the idea of freedom for people in Arab countries or in Syria. That's the issue to me. Now, at the end of the day, though, being here is more important than boycotting. ADC is a friend, and I'm here to engage and speak for my friends who didn't come, who I try to convince to come and say, let's speak to our friends at ADC and try to change things for the better. I know they're listening. I know things are evolving during the day, in fact, and I know there's discussions behind the scenes. So they are listening. So let's, I like the idea of being here, working together, and working together with ADC in the future to ensure those issues don't happen so that the younger techno generation will engage. They're going to be here. They're going to follow ADC, and they're going to be the lifeblood for the future, and we need to think about the future of this organization.
Thanks.
Well, and I guess, for me, from my position as an outsider to this community, I was receiving a lot of messages. I've been rather outspoken about Syria in the sense that, in the sense of social media, there's been a lot of online repression happening in the country. And so I've been very outspoken on that, and I've gotten a lot of messages to ask me to boycott. And as a sort of free speech absolutist, I think we all sort of agree on that concept. After speaking with my colleagues on the panel, I kind of came to the conclusion that, as I believe that the answer to speech is more speech, I felt that coming here and talking about this would be a better way to address the situation, and even as an outsider to the community. And so that's why I decided to come anyway.
Facts of things. But just back to the idea of just the video, this is a controversy that could have been ended 3 days ago or 4 days ago when it started. Playing the video now has already burned the bridges with certain people in our community. Not allowing the singer to perform. Playing the video is not going to make those people who didn't come to this event, I think, turn around and go, oh, I'm going to come to the events in the future now. It's going to take more than that from ADC. And I think things are going to change. It's a great step. It's a great positive step, and I applaud it for what it is. But it's going to take more than that. It's going to take more of a philosophical change. The Arab Spring, they said, it's not limited to the Arab world. It's here as well. We want democracy. We want input. We want organizations that we feel that we can engage and be a part of. And it did change it. People talked about it here, and it did cause a change. So that's a really positive thing. And hopefully there'll be more positive changes. And it'll bring in the other people who have lost some faith and other new ones who are like, look, I want to be a part of ADC. It's an organization I can be proud to be part of. And I know it can be. There's no doubt it is, and it's going to be hopefully better in the future with some changes.
Well,